Would you say that the team that this new coach is coaching has egos on it? I don't know what the full roster is. If it's what I've heard though, yes. Tips on regaining after a super tough loss. I got okay. So when I spoke at the University of Akron, you know what? We'll pull it up. I got you. I got memed for this, by the way. Hold up. I got memed for this because the slide that got put up was like my one joke slide, right? I had one slide in that entire presentation at Akron that had like some funny words on it, like delusional or watch VOD. That was my one slide that had some like, little quirky things from the COD scene in it. And that's the one they used the picture of. The rest of it was put together pretty well. So I actually have you. Give me one moment. Got you guys right here. So I'll read it. I'll read it to you guys. So before we get into that, let me answer a couple more questions. Then I'll dissect this taking a loss overall because it was actually an entire slide that I devoted to. What do teams need to do to get their name out there and be more popular in the scene? Because it seems like Atlanta, Optic, Dallas were really popular. So a lot of their popularity came from deriving from direct organizations, right? Your FaZe, your Optics, your Envies, things like that. They also signed really popular players straight away. Popular and effective players as well. So we'll get into this a little bit because this was a question that who asked it? Carly? I feel like Carly asked it. Tips on regaining after a super tough loss. I got you. So we'll start from top one. By the way, guys, I did this PowerPoint in 20 minutes. It's something that I really want to rework. And honestly, when I do rework the PowerPoint, I have it the way that I actually want it to be. I'm down to like put it out to the public as well. But I feel like part of the PowerPoint is when I explain it as well, because the words are just words until I give you my actual thoughts on it. So number one thing about taking a loss is that there's always going to be a worse loss. This is a mindset that I have been well versed in for the past couple of years. That there's literally always going to be a tougher loss around the corner. At times it can seem like you're maybe in the best position possible. Hang on, let me change my thing to just chatting. But I promise you, there can always be tougher losses around the corner. I've learned this. I've thought that the toughest loss of my life was going to be... So, in order, right? Toughest losses of my coaching career would be PLQ, BO4. That was the toughest loss I feel like I've ever felt in my life. But then right around the corner at Miami in BO4 was that second place finish where we 3-0'd United in the first best of 5 and then lost the second best of 5. That loss was immediately tougher. So keeping in the mindset that there's always going to be a tougher loss really helps you to live in the moment and understand and take away as much as you can from that loss that you're just now experiencing. Kind of leveling yourself, grounding yourself as well. It's very important. Helps you progress even through tough times. Number two, I know you guys can't see this one. Understand why you have lost at every point and dissect as much possible from it. Kind of the basis of this, it sounds pretty obvious to dissect as much as possible, but the sort of ideology around this is to not discuss points that are sort of, innate comments that might not really hold a lot of value in the future, and more pinpoint the exact reasons and the things that led to those losses, or the things that led to those reasons that in turn caused your loss. Is very, very important. But you always want to know why you lose. You never want to walk away with excuses to the point where you don't really know why you lost. Yeah. Do not let a loss negatively change you as a team. So, I actually brought in Toronto as an example to this, and I'm very, very happy about the way they performed this at Champs. When I was presenting this to the esports guys at Akron, I said, do not let a loss negatively change you as a team. If there will not be a positive outcome from discussion, move along to broader arguments. So, my idea behind this third bullet point here is more, when you lose, if it is a sheer devastating loss, perfect example, the one that Toronto faced in Stage 5. The biggest thing and the best thing you can do about that, especially when there's a tournament so close around the corner, is not letting that loss negatively affect your practice going in, and not letting it affect you negatively overall as a team. Making sure that it's not creating negative discourse between the roster to where there's any nitpicking or scapegoating of like, oh, this is the guy that caused our breakdown or anything like that, and just taking that loss. There's not a lot, everyone says take positives from losses. At the end of the day, though, if you're net zero on losses and you're just like, you're learning from it, but it's not devastating you as a roster, it's a fine loss. And And then, of course, there will always be a chance to win that will make up for the worst loss. This one is very near and dear to my heart. I added this one last minute. There will always be a way to win that will make up for your worst loss. The last 2 years of my coaching career have been absolutely miserable, and all of those losses, believe it or not, have hurt just as bad as the last one. But beating FaZe at Stage 5 really, really was the win that made up for it all. That win was, my entire time on Seattle, I never cried when we lost. But I did cry when we beat FaZe. Yeah. So, Carly, to answer your question, I don't know if I did a good job of answering it. That's kind of my ideology behind taking a loss and how to grow from there. So,